First thing again is I'm going to check my seat belt, make sure there's no cuts and frays in it. It's properly mounted and secured and it's fastened. I'm going to have my examiner do the same thing on his side. Both seat belts are checked. 3 days later, when he finally got the seat belt checked.
Well, because an old truck.
Oh God. It'll be fun. Now, first thing I'm doing is I'm going to put the vehicle in a low forward gear. In this case, let's see what we get it into. There's first. Normally I would chalk the wheels just to make sure if I wasn't on flat level ground, but we'll hold from here. Then I'm going to release the brakes. At this point I'm listening for 3 minutes of air loss in a 1 minute period, 3 pounds of air loss in a 1 minute period in a combination vehicle for the state of Arizona. As you can see, the gauges are not moving. Normally you would wait a minute. In this case we're going to cut time and just say that that part passed. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply 50 pounds for the school, the American Institute of Technology. If I was to do a state test, it would be 90 pounds. Depress the brake pedal.
Quick question, do you have a key on?
No, not yet. I'll show you when to put the key on. 50 pounds, I'm going to hold this for 1 minute. At this point, I'm watching for 4 pounds of air loss in a 1 minute period. As you can see, the needles are not moving. To expedite time, we would just go ahead and say a minute has passed. Now I'm going to insert the key into the ignition. However, I am not going to start the vehicle. I am just going to let the gauges electrify. The gauges have electrified. Now I'm going to fan the brakes down until the air pressure gets to 60 psi. At that point I should get a warning light here on the dash, followed by some sort of buzzer or bell or something to indicate that the low air pressure warning has activated. I will do that by fanning the brakes down lightly but rapidly. As you see, it's approximately 60 pounds of air. I have a light on the dash, and you can hear the warning. Now I'm going to continue fanning the brakes down until I get my trailer air supply valve to pop out and my tractor protection valve to pop out. They may pop out together, they may pop out one then the other, but the yellow should never pop out first or by itself. So I'm going to do this by continuing to fan the brakes. This should occur between 40 to 20 psi. There's the trailer. There's the tractor. Both brakes have now applied. Now I'm going to initiate a safe start. To do this, I'm going to make sure the vehicle is in neutral. I'm going to have 1 foot on the brake pedal and 1 foot on the clutch, and then I'm going to start the truck. Within 15 seconds of starting the truck, I should get oil pressure registering on the gauge, I should get the water temperature registering, and I should get my voltmeter showing that electricity is being generated by the alternator. At this time I'm also going to listen for any unusual sounds. Nothing coming from up under the hood. Now I'm going to accelerate the engine rev between 600 to 900 RPMs. I'm going to do this by turning on the clutch, turning on the cruise control, and revving the engine up. As you see, the RPMs now have increased to roughly 850 RPMs. While that's going on, I'm going to conduct an INCAB inspection. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look to my left and my right. Make sure my mirrors are clean and properly adjusted. I'm going to check the windshield again. Make sure there's nothing to obstruct my field of view. Checking for cracks longer than $1 or chips bigger than $0.25. I'm going to check the general condition of the inside of my truck. Make sure there's nothing that's going to fall on my head, any loose items or anything, along with any debris on the floor that could roll up under my pedals while I'm driving. I'm also going to look for excessive free play in my shift lever, along with the boot to make sure the boot is properly mounted and secured to the floor, for nothing could fall down in there and jam up my transmission while I'm driving. I'm going to look for no more than 2 inches of free play in a 20-inch wheel, along with the clutch pedal. No more than 2 inches from engage point. If it disengages the cruise, just reset the cruise. Back to 850 RPMs. Air pressure is building. When this gauge gets approximately here, in between the 75 and 100, that's roughly 85 PSI. From 85 to 100 PSI should take no longer than 45 seconds to build. I'm going to continue my INCAB while the air continues to build. I'm going to check my turn signals. I'm going to turn it on to the left, turn it on to the right, turn on my four-ways, make sure they indicate on the dash. I'm going to turn on my headlights to get my low beams and my high beams to activate on the dash. I'm also going to check my city horn, my country horn. I'm going to turn on my windshield wipers to make sure they work, along with my windshield washer. I am also going to check my heater and my defroster to make sure they both work. The air pressure's built up, it's already at 100. At this point, the INCAB part's done. Now all I got to do is wait for the air governor to kick in, which should occur right between about 125 PSI. It'll be indicated that when there's a puff of air from the air dryer located up on the front of the vehicle, and air pressure will stop building on these two gauges. The air governor just cut off. Now I'm going to fan the brakes down to 90 PSI to make sure the air governor kicks back in. All we're waiting for here is the needles to start moving. And there the needles are starting to move. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my parking brake test. I'm going to place the vehicle in a low forward gear. Here at the school we use 4th gear. I'm going to release the tractor brake and gently release the clutch and tug on the trailer to make sure it's not loose. Then I'm going to swap them. My tractor brakes are now applied. I'm going to tug on my tractor brakes. Place the vehicle back in neutral. Now I'm going to explain how we do a service brake test. We're going to roll forward at approximately 5 miles an hour. We're going to depress the brake pedal. We're going to be looking from any lunges from side to side, which would indicate a problem with my slack adjusters or maybe my suspension, or any dips if the front end suddenly slams to the ground or not, which would indicate the same type of problems. The last thing I'm going to do is do my external light operations check. I'm going to ask my examiner to get out and help me check my headlights on the front of the truck for my high beams and low beams, my turn signals on the front of the truck, the back of my tractor, and the back of my trailer. I'm also going to have him check my marker lights all the way around, along with my brake lights on the back of my tractor, the back of my trailer. Any questions? We're clear.